Sarah Palin continued her comeback tour of the lower 48 today, stealing the show at the Republican Governors Conference in Miami. Palin started the day doing something she never did in her whole campaign for VP. She held a formal news conference. Now, it was supposed to last 20 minutes or so, but Governor Palin took only 4 questions before the whole thing abruptly ended. Baby steps, people. Later, Palin was again in front of the microphones, taking part in a panel discussion on the future of the Republican Party. Let's take a listen.
It hasn't been that long, I think, since we all gathered, but I don't know about you, but I managed to fill up the time. Let's see, I had a baby, I did some traveling, I very briefly expanded my wardrobe, I made a few speeches, met a few VIPs, including those who really impact society, like Tina Fey. And aside from that, it was pretty much same old since we last gathered. In politics, people sometimes go to great lengths to avoid stating the obvious. But I think it's about time that we all remembered that the greatest measure of a president is whether he protected and defended this great country. America's 43rd president took that foremost responsibility, that most important charge, seriously. He poured his life into it. He succeeded in keeping America safe from another attack. I'm thankful he is my soldier son's commander-in-chief, and for that I say, God bless George W. Bush, and I thank you, Mr. President.
We want to bring back tonight's panel right now. Stephen Hayes, Gloria Borger, Errol Lewis with me once again. And Steve, Karl Rove had some pretty harsh words for Governor Palin today. He said, quote, if she wants to run for president, she's going to have to get somebody to move to Anchorage, Alaska, and help her take her game to another level. I know you got an interview with her today. Do you think she gets it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, clearly if she's going to run, if she's going to be a national leader, there are things she needs to improve on. I mean, I think she needs to improve her fluency on foreign policy, national security issues. You know, I think she could use help in some of her speaking techniques, which I think appeal to people in Alaska, but are sort of foreign to people in the lower 48, as you put it. So yeah, I think there are things to work on. But I have to say that, you know, the press conference this morning, as odd as that was followed by this speech, which you played a clip of. I think the speech went over reasonably well. I thought the audience there was pretty receptive. I thought she came out of the speech doing pretty well, but the press conference was, I would just say, odd or sort of bizarre.
Well, that's how it was described, Gloria, by her. Dana Bash, was also there, that it felt very awkward. You know, you had this bunch of her fellow governors standing sort of silently by her, and then one governor told Dana that, and this is a quote here, that unfortunately it sent a message. She was the de facto leader of the party, the key word there being unfortunately. I mean, there are some of the governors who have been pretty explicit about saying they believe her campaign rhetoric, especially, really set the party back.
Right, and you know, don't forget, you've got a bunch of governors there who think that they could be president and that they should be the ones who are at the center of attention, and they resent her being the center of attention, although they won't say that out loud. And by the way, she was talking about the past instead of the future, and this Republican Governors Conference is supposed to be about what Republicans need to do in the future to win back the Congress and to win back the White House and to expand the base of their party. And that's not quite what she was talking about today.
And in fact, they got a really sobering assessment. A pollster sat down with them and showed them the numbers on how poorly they did overall in this election and said, you got real problems on your hands here.
Oh, yeah, I could have told them the same thing. I mean, the pollster undoubtedly told them that they got crushed among women. They lost out among suburban voters. They lost out among young voters, which is critical. I mean, they got killed 2 to 1 among voters under 30, and that's their future. So if they're not going to just be a regional party that's confined to a very small slice of the electorate, they've got to really rethink their whole operation and what it is that they stand for and who they want to get to support them.
And really quick, Steve, do you think they got that there needs to be a real revamping of the thinking of the party and their whole philosophy for moving forward?
I think there's a little bit of a split. You know, we heard from Haley Barbour yesterday, who said that really conservatives need to get back to their roots, Republicans need to get back to their roots, and then you have others like Tim Pawlenty and John Huntsman who say, no, conservatives and Republicans have to look forward, they have to embrace these changing demographics and speak accordingly.
Fascinating to see how this plays out in the coming months and years, probably. Steve Hayes, Gloria Borger, Errol Lewis, thanks, guys.